G'day. Well, I'm going to be running you guys through in YouTube land how to do a neck reset in a mutton. Um, it's quite a tricky job to do, and there's a lot of steps. I wouldn't be trying to do this if you've never done any woodwork or any sort of guitar work before. Um, the reason why we've got to do the reset in this is because the action is certainly very high, and it just needs a really good going over. But something that I haven't shared with you is this actually is Slim Dusty's guitar, and it needs a bit of TLC to get him all back and working again. Anyway, let me run you through that and see how we go. Cheers. Alright, well the first step we've got to do is we've got to get ourselves one of these. We've got to get a 64th ruler, as we can see there. We've got to measure the action at your 12th fret. So if we come down here, we can actually, it's going to be very difficult to show you, but if you can see there, it's almost, what is that, 9/64ths or something. Yeah, very hard to see, but yeah, 9/64ths. Alright, there we go, it's just a bit above 8. So, 9/64ths. And the treble side, which is, we've got 8/64ths off the top of the 12th fret. Okay, that's the first thing we're going to do. And then the next thing we're going to do, if we need be, is we're going to get an X-Acto knife, and we're going to cut very carefully around the fretboard end, especially around this sort of area here, because you find there will be probably a bit of a lacquer build-up or whatnot. And we've got to unstick that. As we can see on this one, it's sort of a bit broken off. The end is, it's a bit sort of down. So look, what we'll do is we'll, now that we know the action, we're going to take the strings off. We're going to put a bit of linseed oil on here, and we're going to heat that section of the fretboard off the body before we try and attempt to even take that off there, the heel. So look, just bear with me, and we'll get to it where we're going to start heating off the fretboard with an iron. Alright, well we can see I've got a bit of linseed oil on there now, and I've also cut around the edge of that fretboard very carefully. What we're going to do now is get a spatula, which you'll need one of these. It's got a sharpened up end on it to make it quite sharp. We're going to sort of work that underneath the end of the fretboard on sort of heading into the middle of the fretboard after it gets hot enough to come off. But we're also going to need some protection for that fretboard end. So you got to get a bit of cardboard and thick bit of cardboard, and dress it up with some aluminium foil to stop the face of the instrument getting hot. We'll just get our iron and put them on and see how we go, eh? So it seems we have the tongue of the fretboard unglued now. Not terribly difficult, but a bit time consuming. We have the spatula well and truly underneath the fretboard. Very good tool. So now the next step is we're going to remove this fret right here. What you'll need is a nice pair of pincers, and you will want to remove this fret. How do I do this with the light? Oh, I'll just come back. Okay, removing the 15th fret. Try and do this one-handed, a bit tricky, but we'll get there hopefully. It's not the nicest thing to do. Come on. And I'm also doing this left-handed, so also a bit tricky, but we will get it out without any big drama, I think. We'll just come back to it, hey? Now we have the fret removed. it's going to be a bit tricky doing the refret on this because it is ebony and it will be incredibly chippy. That's alright, we'll get through this. So the best idea is to get some super glue and run it either side of the slot, but don't get any in the slot, and this will tie all that together. So I'm gonna do this, but I'm actually going to get rid of all this oil off it before I actually do anything. Alright, now before I put the super glue on there, I'm going to get the drill, which I've put a 2mm drill bit in here already, or 80 thou. We're going to drill a hole in the centre of that fret that we pulled out, and when you drill through there, you'll get through the fretboard, and hopefully we'll run into a void behind the neck pocket. And if you can imagine the neck pocket, it's a dovetail, so you've got sort of like a dovetail going sort of behind here in the neck, and that's what we want to go in. There should be a little void behind there. That's how we're going to steam the neck out through that little hole, but we'll come back to it. So now we have the super glue on, which should consolidate all those little bits together, and we've also got that hole in there for the steaming device to go in. Anyway, I'm going to leave this for tomorrow, and I'll do some more videos then. Cheers. Alright, well this morning we're going to cut down this edge here with the X-Acto knife, and we're going to very carefully make sure that all this lacquer here and stuff that gets cut through. We want to make it so the neck comes off nice and smoothly. And then after that, now the super glue's gone off nicely, we're going to stick the steaming device in through the 2mm hole we put in yesterday, and we're going to try and take this neck off very slowly. Alright, we'll get back to it. And we have some steam. Alright, let's get them in there. And we're making a bit of progress. I'm getting a little bit of movement now, which is good. Might be a bit hard to show you, but oh, there we go, look at that. Alright, we'll get back to it. So now we can see the neck pocket after it's been revealed. It's probably a really good idea right now to clean off all that excess animal glue that's in there whilst it's still warm with a chisel. So I'm going to go and do that, and I'll be back. Alright, I thought I'll just show you the neck after that's got off before I clean it up. And there we go, it's 166, and it's a D28. I'm thinking that it's some sort of mid to late 60s Martin. It's a Brazilian Rosewood Martin D28. I'll look up the model number later and I'll tell you guys. And I'll show you inside the guitar actually. There's a few repairs that have gone on there that are quite questionable. But anyway, we'll have a look at that a bit later. So the next step is to remove the frets on this thing and super glue up, just basically like we did there, you know. And I'm going to be reusing all the frets in these because all the frets are pretty good, and it will also keep its originality. And like I said, I'll look up the serial number, and just like I thought, it's sort of a mid-60s. It's a 1967 D28. And you can always tell by these mid-60s Martins, they've got a very rounded headstock, besides the Brazilian Rosewood, which is always sort of a telltale sign. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with this removal of the frets and, yeah, let you guys see it. So now that all the frets have been removed and super glued up, it's nice and dry now. I've already taken the nut out, as we can see, and I'm just going to put all my frets that I've taken out in their exact order so I can get them later. But my next step is to re-radius or take off all the high spots of this super glue and get that fretboard all level again, ready to reset the neck. Alright, well, I'm going to get to that and I'll get back to you. So I've gone ahead and sanded all the fretboard flat, and all those fret slots are going to look really quite nice. And what I've done is I've put in some of these false frets, so I can measure at the 12th fret what the action's going to be. And off that I've sort of determined that about that much has got to come off the end of the heel. So I'm going to go and give that a little sand off and try and be as neat as I possibly can. And then have a look at the fit. Alright. So after shaving a little bit off the shoulders of the heel, I've ended up with around about 3/64 under the string there from the top of the fret, and about 4 on the base side. So that's going to be absolutely perfect, because we've got a slightly lower fret than what I've put in, and I can see that everything's lined up with the strings. Everything lines up beautifully. So my next step is to take the neck back off and glue some tiny bits of veneer onto the dovetail to make up for that slop in the neck now. I'll show you what I mean. This is the slop that we got to get rid of, okay? And that is by putting some shims on the dovetail, and that will just pull that all nice and tight again, so this neck is going to be held beautifully flush to the body. So I'll be gluing on just onto here, just on the end actually, just about here onto the dovetail, and that's where I'll put the shims. I've got some about 0.6s, which I'll probably have to sand down to about a 0.2 or so. Anyway, I've got to go and find some veneer for that. So I've now located some Brazilian rosewood for the 0.6 ml shims, and they're going to be getting stuck just onto there and on the other side. And I've made up these little clamping cauls. So I've got one for that side and one for this side, and basically they're just going to hold it on and get everything nice and held down tightly. I've used these on a lot of neck resets before, these shims. They work perfectly for sort of any Martin or you know, Silvertone, Harmony, whatever, you know, Gibson. They work fine. Anyway, I'm going to go and do that. I just put a bit of masking tape on to stop the shims from sliding around whilst I was gluing it together. But that's all glued on. Now we're just going to wait for it to dry, and then we can finalise the fit of the neck. Alright. Just going to give you guys a bit of a closer look at those frets that I put in. You can see that like all the tang's been basically ground off, and that's what I put in to get the fret height. As you can see here, after I stuck those little shims on the dovetail, I have a little gap up here that I've got to slowly close up. What I'll do is slowly sand them off and get that neck fit perfect. So here we have the dovetail. You can see the shim I've glued on either side. Just slowly sanding that off to get the best fit. So the next stage is to stick the neck on. Stick some glue on that the dovetail there and put them all back together. But yeah, all very neat and all very shiny. Yeah, I'll go and stick them on and show you how you do it. For all those people that need black ebony, as we can see here, it's definitely not black, it's very stripy. Gotta make sure there's glue on everything. And the neck's all back on after a bit of glue cleanup. Should be bloody brilliant. So now that all the neck's back on, it's time to flatten out the fretboard. as this thing doesn't have a truss rod, well, it does, it's just not an active truss rod, I'm going to have to be incredibly careful with getting my sanding perfect for those frets to go back in. Anyway, I'm going to go about doing that. So the fretboard's been all flattened off now, and I'm just about to put it in the frets again. As you can see, I've filled in that little hole there with a little ebony dowel, and we can really see here that the fretboard really is quite stripy. It's definitely not a black ebony. Anyway, I'm going to go and put these frets back in. All the frets back in, and I'm going to put the strings back on it to see where the action's at. Alright, I'll do that. Well, I've gone ahead and strung the guitar up, and I've gone and marked out with this red pen where all my high spots are, and I did that with a 6-inch ruler, seeing where the high frets are. And I think I've done pretty well, because you know, I said I had to sand this flat, and I did as best as I could, but that's actually how I thought it should look with the string tension on. Because these things don't have an adjustable truss rod, you really got to try and figure out what that's going to be like. Anyway, I'm going to take the strings back off and file some of these frets down and see how we go. Next step, I've got to lower the nut action. You can see the there's a lot of height over that first fret there. So I'm going to go and take that down and then see how it looks then. Yep, slowly going down. Let's take it down with these Hosco files. They work really well. Look, I'll show you the difference. Here's the D that I'm working on, and this is the A that I just did. Whee. Hardly any play, which is good. But this one has stacks of play. Then the G is just a huge amount. So now I've leveled all the frets off, I'm going to crown them up using a crowning file. There's a diamond file, just bought it from Stu Mac, very handy. You'll 100% need one of these. I'm going to crown all the frets up and give them a polish, and then put some linseed oil on. So I said I'll give you a video of what's going on inside. So here we go. A bridge plate on a bridge plate. Some horrid little things around the cross brace there, and a big splint underneath a crack that was in the top, which is just there, as we can see on the top. Yeah, I think everything else is alright. I had a good look. None of the back braces are loose or anything like that. Now, see if I can see here. There we go. Oh, come on, focus. Don't know if you can see that. There we go. That's the serial number. So the action is, we've got 4 64ths on the treble side, and on the bass side we have 5 64ths. So I would say that's bloody perfect. Anyway, the guitar has turned up really nicely. The neck joint's all very nice. Fretboard's all very nice. An absolute winner, I think. Sounds pretty good too. Anyway, that's how you do a neck reset on a 1967 D28 Martin. That was previously owned by Slim Dusty. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. And if it was up to you to do it, I would say not a good idea, very tricky. Anyway, thanks you guys, enjoy.